Protesters in the streets of Yemen are still demanding change 6 months since they first called for the ouster of Ali Abdullah Saleh's regime. Why is there still no sign of a political transition, and what lies ahead for the Arab world's poorest nation seeking democracy? This is another edition of News Analysis with me, Homa Lesgi.
Protests against Ali Abdullah Saleh are in full swing. The demonstrators say they accept nothing short of Saleh's downfall.
We trust that victory is on our side. We are reminded of the phrase which says, "Be patient to obtain victory."
Protesters continue to blame the Saudi regime for the stalemate in their country. This banner reads, "Oh, Saudi Arabia, we stand steadfast." Yemen has intermittently been rocked by armed fighting between tribesmen who support the revolution and the Saleh loyalists, the Republican Guards. The battles have been bloody. The political future of Yemen hangs in the balance. Saleh, who suffered injuries in a rocket attack several weeks ago, is still convalescing in Saudi Arabia. He's not at the helm in Yemen, nor does he hand over his responsibilities. Large numbers of people have been killed at the hands of the regime forces since the revolution broke out in February with the aim of ending Saleh's decades-long rule. The Saudi regime, who has thrown its full weight behind Saleh, has dashed all hopes of a resolution of the deadlock. The security and economic conditions are dire. Violence is mounting among tribes in different regions. People across the country have to stand in long lines for fuel. It seems that Western supporters of Saleh, including the U.S., apparently would rather see chaos continue. They won't bat an eyelid if the country turns into another Somalia, a nation in shambles.
Well, let's get more now from IGA Director Mr. Ali Al-Ahmad in Washington, Yemeni writer and researcher Mr. Ali Masfari in London, and editor of Culture Wars magazine Dr. E. Michael Jones in Indiana. Thanks very much for joining News Analysis. I'll start my first question with Mr. Ali Al-Masfari in London. Mr. Masfari, it's becoming clearer that Saleh, who's injured, who's still in Saudi Arabia, is unable to lead the country to democracy. But why are we not seeing that political transition take place? Why are things so uncertain?
I think that it is very important now for us to find out a deadline for this regime. As long as the suffering of the people has shown and emerged as famine in the country and a political disaster that has drawn out the necessity of the people towards the democracy and transmission of the power. And I think as long as now we have seen during the last 6 months that it is very needed now that the Arab Gulf states must understand well, together with the United States and the UN, how they can find a solution to put an end for the suffering of the peoples in Yemen. And I think yesterday or today is the last running day of the legitimacy of Ali Abdullah Saleh according to the constitution. And I think that as I have heard yesterday that the political advisor of Saleh was called yesterday to attend an urgent meeting in Riyadh in order to prepare the transmission also during the next week or 2 weeks at least, and to find out solution for all the two problems in the south and as well also in the north, and how we think that we are going further to the same goals that the revolution itself has already announced.
Right,
but I think that
Mr.
we
Masfari,
have to find out.
If I could just stop you there, because you raised some issues that I want to come before we discuss the rest of the problems that Yemen is facing. And you referred there to the role that the international community can play. You referred to the United Nations, to Saudi Arabia, the United States. I'd like to come back to that. First, let's go to Indiana and have Dr. Jones's view on this. Dr. Jones, we know that the joint meetings parties, the main part of the opposition in Yemen, said it was prepared to form a transitional council without one of the other parties' participation in it and without the acting president in it. However, that didn't happen. What do you think is preventing the formation of at least the transitional council in Yemen right now?
Well, the United States has made the wrong decision. They have built, instead of dealing with the democratic process, which they say they believe in, they hurried up and built a drone base in Yemen, and now they're using drones to attack the people of Yemen. This is not the solution to the problem. This was not the cause. The cause of Saleh leaving power was not armed tribesmen there. It was a mass demonstration. You can't combat a mass demonstration with drones. They've made the wrong decision.
All right, the U.S. drone attacks. Mr. Ali Al-Ahmad in Washington, we did hear today that there was a U.S. drone attack and at least 15 people were killed. What are these drone strikes really about in Yemen? Are they targeting al-Qaeda militants? Who are these militants in the extremely sensitive Abiyan province in Yemen right now?
Well, the United States has been using Yemen as a shooting target for many years now. And the attacks, this is not the first time this has happened in Yemen, but the new thing is that the base is being made public. It was there already secretly, and the attack is targeting supposedly Al-Qaeda operatives in that part of Yemen. Since the revolution started, Ali Abdullah Saleh plan was to raise the profile of Al-Qaeda by allowing them to capture some cities and to shed light on their danger in order to manipulate the American White House into supporting him and giving him aid and support against the protesters, which did happen, because Yemen is the only country in the Middle East right now that is bombing its own revolutionaries using airplanes. So and that was supported by the United States. Some of these munitions and support, logistical support, came from the United States. So in very simple way, the United States has supported Ali Abdullah Saleh's effort against the revolution in Yemen.
Right, let's go back to London now, and Mr. Masfari, have your view on this. We have comments by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mike Mullen. I'm quoting him now for you. He's described Yemen as a country that is, quote, rapidly becoming Al-Qaeda's center of gravity. Now, do these comments and the drone strikes mean that the United States is planning to maintain its military role and its military interventions in Yemen?
I think it is clear now for us and for all the world that the United States has targeted Yemen recently as Al-Qaeda base in order to justify its failure in Afghanistan, and in order also to give more opportunity to the current president of the United States in order to come back to the office again during the election, the second or the coming elections. But I think that Al-Qaeda is not there in Yemen. Al-Qaeda is the regime of Ali Abdullah Saleh. As long as that we find a solution to put an end for this regime, I think that we have to get solution to end all the problems of Al-Qaeda, not only in Yemen, but also in Somalia and in the Middle East as well. So we have to admit and to be really brave that to find out the ways and the channels that we can find political solution for the issue of Yemen and in particular of the south. And we find that the political environment was damaged in the south by the damaging of the state of the South Arabia or South Yemen, and from that point out until now we are suffering from terrorism, from Al-Qaeda, from all these aspects. So if we restore this environment to its original roots, I think that we are very, very, very secure to put an end for all the problems in the Arabic Peninsula and in the Middle East. Anyhow, I am very afraid now. I am afraid now that the point that was not cleared by the United States, that means that it was, or the United States was failed by finding out any means or any foundations how to prepare the political playground in Yemen. And we have now to think out together with the international community and the regional community how we can find out solution, political solution for all issues. Otherwise, I think chaos, as your guest said from the United States, it is very clear now we are coming to not only political but also human disaster which will not find any end at all.
All right. Well, you just said there, Mr. Masfari, that what is termed al-Qaeda is actually the regime that was there in Yemen, is still there in power, the regime of President Ali Abdullah Saleh. I'd like to go back now to Dr. Jones in Indiana. Dr. Jones, just getting a comment again by Mullen. He said that the al-Qaeda leadership, though it still resides on the borders between Afghanistan and Pakistan, that it has, the federate group of al-Qaeda, he says, that's in Yemen, is an incredibly dangerous group that has taken full advantage of the chaos in Yemen. Now, I want you to tell us, how true is that claim, and how do you assess al-Qaeda's power in Yemen?
I think al-Qaeda is now in Libya fighting against Gaddafi. How do you know where al-Qaeda is? How do you know al-Qaeda exists? I mean, what we're talking about here is what was a democratic revolution, which should have been supported by the United States, if the United States believed in its own principles, but which was not, which changed. Now they've taken the path of military repression, probably because of the urging of the Saudi regime, to the point where they will push the people into the very position that they don't want them to go into. In other words, into a military conflict that could be exploited by a group of militants if they wanted to. You're radicalizing the population by doing this thing. It's a repeat of the failed policy that took place in Pakistan. Now it's being replaced here. This is what happens when you don't have principle behind your foreign policy. You start using the instruments. The instruments start determining the policy. So you have these great missiles, these drones that fly around and kill people. So let's them decide the policy rather than deciding it according to principle. That's the heart of the problem.
Okay, and that just brings into question again how the interests of major players like the United States and Saudi Arabia is affecting the situation in Yemen right now, and is affecting the result of this revolution. I'd like to go back to Washington. Mr. Ali Al-Ahmad, we saw earlier on a proposal by the GMP, the main opposition party in Yemen, and that group was saying that they're looking for a transitional ruling council that would include some major groups. Now, those are, they said, representatives from the protesters, the separatist southern movement, and also the Houthi fighters, who are all involved in the crisis that Yemen is facing. But tell us, how probable is that kind of combination in Yemen? And is that something that would go alongside those US and Saudi interests?
I think it's possible to have a council, a transitional council formed from different parts of the Yemeni society, and I think that would be the best way to have inclusion, to have a national government that represents every aspect of the Yemeni society. This, however, is not in the same interest or desire of the Saudi and the American administration, because both the Saudi monarchy and the American administration, the American White House, see eye to eye. They are together against the emergence of a democratic national consensus in Yemen, because they see a national democratic consensus in Yemen is against the hegemony of the Saudi and American powers in that region. So if we have a national government in Yemen, you will not see Al-Qaeda, you will not see the US having those drone bases and attacking inside Yemen with the knowledge and the support of the Yemeni government. And the same thing with Saudi Arabia, who do not want to see Yemen as stable, as prosperous and united. So unfortunately here we see an alliance between the United States and Saudi Arabia in stifling the revolution in Yemen and stopping against the formation of a democratic national government in that country.
Mr. Masfari, I'd like to have your view on that. Do you agree with that assessment being made there, that the United States and Saudi Arabia would not like to see that national alliance that we spoke of, uniting the Houthi fighters, the South movement, the secessionist South movement, the representatives of the protesters? Do you think that this national unison, in Yemen would not go with the interests of the U.S.?
I think that 1 month ago, as we have been explaining and discussing this issue on the international conference here in London, we have found out that also together with Dr. Khalil al-Assad from the United States professor for economics and political science, we found together that there are still some elements in the Middle East for the counter-revolution, also led or controlled by some of the Gulf states, and also together with the support of the United Nations, of the United States. So as long as that, I think myself and all the people who are also involved in this issue, I think it is very needed now to find out together with these elements, if they want to secure their interest in the region, they have to meet also together the interests of the peoples in Yemen, and in particular in the south. As long as we are putting these actual steps to get out the solution for the issue, as long as that the United States and Saudi Arabia must understand one question only. If they want to live in peace together with all the peoples in the region, they have to admit also for their rights, how they can find out the solution for democracy, for their rights, to secure their rights, to secure their life. So I think that it is now a high time to find out the solution. Otherwise, I have to warn about one thing is going to be now, that all these people who are now fighting against the regime they are going to find out also another solutions how to get the problem worse and to put the situation under control. It will be too late for all.
All right, Dr. Jones, do you think the situation in Yemen is prone now for any foreign intervention to take place, either by Saudi Arabia or by the United States? Of course, we are seeing those drone attacks, but do you think there will be some attempt in the near future to get involved militarily? And if that does happen, what do you think it will be aimed at?
No, the United States cannot get involved on the ground in Yemen. They are already overextended. That's the problem. The other problem is that you can't win a war with drones or airplanes. The history has shown that from the Vietnam War, the Serbian War, and now the Libyan War proves you cannot win a war with airplanes. So all they're doing is antagonizing the people and making them more and more militant. In order to understand the situation, you have to understand what's driving it. What is the philosophy here? It is neoconservatism. What is neoconservatism? It is this Russian revolutionary ideology that came to us from Trotsky. It's the Brezhnev doctrine. It's basically saying every country that we now control, we must maintain control over, and we must spread the revolution to new countries. Well, that's the doctrine. It's impossible to bring this about. The United States military is already overextended. By taking the military option, they are ensuring the ultimate collapse of their strategy.
All right, so what are they trying to do in Yemen to maintain those interests, Dr. Jones?
They think they can maintain the status quo with drones.
All right, and you think
that's impossible.
Yeah, you think that's not going to work?
It wasn't armed.
Yeah, go ahead.
It wasn't armed people that brought about the fall. It was not an armed insurrection that brought about the fall of President Saleh. It was a democratic, popular demonstration uprising. You can't combat that with drones. It's like using a hand grenade to dispel the fog. You can't do it. It doesn't work. But they have the instruments. They have no policy, so they rely on the instruments.
All right, maintaining the status quo. Mr. Ali Al-Ahmad, looking at the status quo right now in Yemen, we've got on the one side those defected army units, mainly led by General Mohsen Al-Ahmar, who's fighting the Republican Guards who are led by Saleh's son and his nephews. Do you think that this is going to turn out to be a prolonged civil war? Is that what we're looking at now in Yemen?
It is already a civil war. You know, Yemen has been under the radar, the fact that there is a lot of violence. Like I said earlier, that the Yemeni government has been using air force to attack peaceful protesters, and that has not happened in the region. What you see now is a division within the army itself. That division is not large enough to end the Ali Abdullah Saleh regime. However, Yemen is turning into a big mess, and I think the UN representative to Yemen said that last week, and I think within 10 days, 2 weeks, Yemen is going to really go down into destruction even further because of the stubbornness of the United States and the Saudi monarchy's refusal to accept the right and the desires of the people of Yemen. So Yemen is going to turn out to be another Somalia because of the fighting, especially at this time of the year, and the shortage, the food shortage and the fuel shortage will lead to mass exodus from Yemen into Saudi Arabia, and we will see a humanitarian crisis on our hand in the next few weeks while Obama vacation in the United States.
Yeah, you referred there to another Somalia, speaking of Yemen. Mr. Masfari, I'd just like to put this question to you before we run out of time. Who is left for the Yemeni people to trust then? The Saudi proposal was backed by the United States. It didn't work. It still hasn't worked. People do not trust that proposal because they say it's still backing the president. On the other hand, we have General Mohsen al-Ahmar, and people are saying, should they trust him to be the person to bring them democracy? So what is basically left for the Yemenis to cling to?
I think what is left, how we have to respect the political determination of the peoples there in Yemen and in the south as well. And I think that Ali Mohsen al-Ahmar or the other who were also now on the grounds fighting or standing up against Ali Abdullah Saleh, they have another program. They have to transmit the power from the family to the tribe, Hashid. That is only, but not to get solution for the whole issue in the south and in Yemen as well, according to what the revolution itself went and the peaceful movement al-Iraq in the south. But I think that we have to find out now, or to use the UN envoy Gamal bin Umar, who is now preparing the report or the final report to the United UN Security Council in order to find out solutions or resolution how to prepare the political playground in Yemen and to find out political solution before any other solution.
Right. If I could just give the last minute now.
The problem.
If I could just give the last minute now to Dr. Jones, if you could tell us, Dr. Jones, in less than a minute, do you think that Yemen is going to be another Somalia? Will we see a secession taking place in that country?
The first program I was on in Press TV, I said that the danger was that Yemen was going to become Somalia. It can split up into two countries. It can split up into tribes. Yeah, that's the danger. I don't think that a military solution can be imposed from the outside. The United States needs to close down its drone base, and it needs to start promoting constructive steps for the democratic transition to power. That's what they've got to do.
Dr. E. Michael Jones, editor of Culture Wars magazine, joining us there live from Indiana. Thanks very much. I'd also like to thank Ali Masfari, Yemeni writer and researcher in London, and Ali Al-Ahmad, IGA director, joining us live from Washington. I'm afraid we've run out of time. Thanks so much for staying with us from me, Homa Lezgi, and our team here in Tehran. It's goodbye.